You refer to yourself as a dietitian who does not believe in diets.
Food is such a universal experience to everyone that it's something everyone can connect over. It's really important to have a wide variety of plants in your diet. Everything from grains, so you want the whole grain that hasn't been refined. A kiwi fruit is great in vitamin C. The absolute champion would be a red capsicum though. Beautiful and glowing skin, it does start with your gut, so nourishing your gut with fibre once again. If you do catch a cold, probiotics have now been shown to help reduce the duration and the severity. Whenever you're looking to lose weight, it's important to take it slow.
Hey, I am Alina Reddy and welcome to Foreign Influence.
It was a wild experience.
Something clicked in me and I didn't want to be that food anymore.
What I love about the dragon is
How did that come about? Well, educated.
So he survived for about an hour.
Best young emerging actor.
Oh, wow.
It has to be on point.
Yeah, yes.
A particular sketch with Rebel Wills.
Never stop learning.
I decided to run away.
here I am, continuing my tennis journey here.
Thought, that's it?
A few opinions about what
Passages.
That made your journey harder? Hey, this is Alina Reddy and welcome to Foreign Influence. Today we're going to chat to a dietitian who doesn't believe in diets. Her name is Veronika Pudikova. And let's dive in! Veronika, welcome to Foreign Influence.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to have a chat.
You refer to yourself as a dietitian who does not believe in diets. Please tell me more.
Well, it sounds a bit strange, but I think it makes sense when you think about the term diet. These days, it's really been taken over by diet culture, and I believe when you hear the term diet these days, it doesn't mean diet pattern or your usual way of eating. People think of the fads, the trends, and the short-lived habits that you try and build into your routine but never really stick.
Because, yeah, habits we form, it's very, very hard to break them.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you're following something like a fad or something that's just become popular in the media, it can sometimes even cause more harm than good. I believe in focusing on your lifestyle more holistically, including your diet, but other aspects as well, like your movement, your sleep, and your stress.
How did you develop an interest in nutrition?
I've always been academically inclined towards the sciences, studying developmental biology, physiology, and biochemistry. And I've always had a link from these sciences to health. So when it came to the end of my studies, I was thinking about honours, but then I realised I wanted to get beyond the lab, have a more concrete way of helping people. I was looking into medicine. And it was actually, I think by accident, I came across the Master of Nutrition and Dietetics course, which I ended up studying, just because it started halfway through the year and I wanted to jump into studying again, rather than waiting for the next cycle of medicine admissions.
And here we are.
And I never looked back since.
That is really amazing. So from lab to having one-on-one contact with people.
Yeah, it's always what I sort of missed from having the theoretical, the study side of things, is how can this knowledge and how can this progress in research make a difference to people like me, like you, like all the people who are confused out there about what they're meant to be eating and how they can improve their quality of life and their health.
You're a very busy person, you're really booked out and you've got so many clients, but I'm just wondering, what are the most common presenting issues that clients seek your advice?
I'm sure you won't be surprised to hear that weight management is probably the biggest thing that people think of a dietitian to help with. And some people think that's the only thing that we help with. But it's actually a lot deeper beyond that. Now there's a real focus on lifestyle changes with chronic diseases as well. So I think the medical community is really shining a light on lifestyle to support medications when you're dealing with chronic diseases, but also more recently with the progress that's being made in gut health research, there's a lot more demand for help with gut symptoms and presenting issues such as IBS and the like. And for me, this really links to the standard Western diet that we often fall into. I think people are trying to navigate the best way to optimize their health now, and that often starts with the gut.
Yeah, so what you eat is really makes you who you are.
So the big ones that dietitians have a really pertinent role in would be anything from diabetes in the chronic disease world, cardiovascular health, liver issues, of course, the liver's the major processing center, and then anything in terms of weight loss when you're thinking about the other strategies that people take, like bariatric surgery, you also need to undertake that with a dietitian. And beyond that, lifestyle issues or optimizing performance. People have a lot of fatigue these days with all the dopamine ups and downs. I'm sure you've heard of the issue now. There's a lot of low energy complaints, and other than that, performance. So sports, people who want to not only improve their health, but think about longevity and how to optimize that when they get into the aging process.
Yeah, Novak Djokovic, the tennis player, he is the prime example of that, how much his diet affects his energy levels, and he talks freely about it, how much assistance he seeks from his dietitian and nutritionist.
Especially when you're pushing your body that far, you need to fuel it properly, as I'm sure that any other tennis player or sports person would be able to say, just like Novak.
There is a lot of talk of Ozempic these days. What are your thoughts on that?
So that's very interesting, and I can't not notice the popularity of Ozempic and similar medications. It definitely has a place in medical treatment, especially for people who probably lifestyle modifications aren't the best first step, who aren't ready to change their diet or their exercise. With the side effects aside, like I know people who feel too nauseous to eat. So that's the main issue why they're losing weight, is because of the side effects of Ozempic as well as to its action within the body. But at the same time, you've got to think long term. What happens when you come off of this medication? So you're going to go back to your old habits, or maybe you never even changed them. So those same habits and that same lifestyle is going to lead you to the same place. So you've got to have a holistic approach. GLP-1 agonists have a place in medical treatment, but you've got to think about what you're going to do afterwards and how you're going to maintain the changes that occur. The other major issue with medications like Ozempic is that you do lose weight, and they are very effective, but you lose it quite fast. And so your body is using your muscle stores as well as your fat stores to get energy. And this means that we lose a lot of our muscle. And this isn't important only for our function, but also our metabolism, which relies on muscle to burn energy as well, but also longevity. So if we're losing muscle, that's directly correlated to earlier chronic disease as you get later into life.
So what would a person should do?
Whenever you're looking to lose weight, it's important to take it slow and allow your body to adjust, but also keep up strength training and protein. You never want to cut your protein because then your muscle mass suffers directly. It's important to keep it up because once again, I mentioned not only the function, but longevity. And if you're training but not getting the protein, the muscles aren't going to have any building blocks, so the amino acids aren't getting into your body. You're going to have nothing to keep the muscles fueled and recovered.
Veronika, how would you describe yourself as a person?
One of the first words that comes to mind is nerdy, because I am really analytical and that's a huge part of me. My interests, I think just as anyone who is in the science field or science related fields would know, but also I'm someone who really loves human connection and new experiences, which is a bit hard being an introvert, but I think it's possible to combine the two.
And you're also a very caring person.
Definitely. I think everyone in healthcare is empathetic, sometimes too empathetic, and it can take a toll, but I think that's why people value us.
Let's switch gears and let's talk about where were you born?
I was born in Volgograd in the south of Russia, which I'm very proud of. I'm proud of the history of that city. And my family comes from that region for a few generations. So every time I went back there since immigrating, I was lucky enough to spend some time in the countryside around that region, which is absolutely beautiful. I have really fond memories of the beautiful sunflower fields and my beautiful family. And once I analysed this upbringing with myself, I realised that this must have played a massive role in my love for food, because living on the land, you develop a real appreciation for fresh, whole produce. If you want a snack, you just go up to an apple tree, grab an apple off the vine and eat it. If you want some mashed potato, well, you're going to have to wait until it's time to dig up the potatoes. Or if you want preserved vegetables in the winter, think about it during the warmer months so you can have those ready. So I think it really played into my love for food, family and connection over food as well, seeing it more than just a fuel.
And Volgograd is named after the river Volga.
It's beautiful, it has a beautiful climate, and the city's just right along the river, so it's quite long. You can always make it to the water.
You immigrated to Australia with your parents at the age of 5. What do you remember from that time?
I remember mostly that I didn't know any English and it was really tricky. Actually, a funny story. I remember my mum preparing, so before we'd come to Australia, she was practicing her English at home, and to me it sounded like gibberish. She said it was English, but I felt like she was just making up a language. So I started making up my own language and calling it English. I remember speaking to my imaginary friends with some words I made up, saying that I knew English, which obviously, when I arrived here, I realised that I don't understand any of the kids who do actually speak English in the playground. Yeah, it was a difficult transition, I think, for the first while, but kids were so open and ready to take on new learnings that I think it was only a few months before I was quite fluent, and I made some friends at school after arriving just a few months previously.
A few months? You're so bright in a few months to learn the language.
Well, when you're young, I think it's very easy, like we're like sponges, absorb everything. It was great finally getting some friends at school. It was a good skill to have when I arrived, because I ended up moving 7 schools around Melbourne during my time. So it was something that I practiced building or getting into new communities, getting to know people, building relationships, which I really enjoy, and I think I was lucky to have that experience.
You are extremely bright, and for a child of immigrant family who came here at the age of 5, actually you were able to sit exams and get accepted into one of the most prestigious schools in the country. So well done to you.
Thank you.
What was that like, getting ready for the exams?
I think I owe most of that to my family, because they instilled the values in me. They helped me all along the way. I remember I had tutors all the way from primary school, and then getting ready for the selective entry exam, and then while I was in Macrob, I was also getting tutored. So it was all along the way, before, after and during Macrob, that I had that help from outside. And within Macrob, it was great because I found that everyone else was the same too. We were mostly from migrant families, which we could connect over the shared experience there, all very academically inclined as well. I was really lucky that I had that opportunity as well, which was very future-facing for me. So they introduced me a lot to the opportunities that will arise in the future.
Veronika, with your dad as this amazing couture fashion designer who made these beautiful dresses. He really went all out there. He was supposed to make business outfits for us, but he told us this is how he sees us.
He can't hold back.
And what does your mom do?
My mum is in finance. She studied to be an economist, but had a slight change as she immigrated to Australia. So I think that's where my analytical side comes from. And my dad is definitely responsible for all the creativity within me.
What do you love the most about your job, being a dietitian?
I love food, and not just food as fuel. I think food is such a universal experience to everyone that it's something everyone can connect over. We've all had memories of our favourite food from childhood, first dates, family celebration. Most of our life actually revolves around food, whether we like it or not. It's an integral part, but also with being a dietitian, nutrition conversations really help people open up, and you can tell a lot about their life experience, and you get to help people improve their quality of life and sometimes even undergo a bit deeper self-understanding when they're thinking about their goals, they're thinking about their priorities, and you've got to help them find something that aligns with that. So yeah, seeing the progress is really fun too.
With winter season just around the corner, what general advice would you be able to give to our audience how to prepare themselves in order to avoid colds and flus?
The first and most foundational thing, of course, is your diet, along with your sleep, your stress levels. That's just in general. It works any time of the year, and it's something to always keep your eye on if you're feeling low immunity. But specifically coming up to the winter months, something like zinc and vitamin C, or maybe an echinacea to take on top of a healthy balanced diet with lots of fresh produce and diverse plant variety would definitely help give their immune system a little boost. But as well, if you do catch a cold, probiotics have now been shown to help reduce the duration and the severity of the common infections that we meet during winter time.
Interesting.
Yeah, because the gut does play a huge role in our immunity as well. So it all makes sense.
Well, give us some specific examples. Okay, I wake up in the morning. Do I have freshly squeezed orange juice or have a kiwi fruit? Like, what would you recommend?
A kiwi fruit is great in vitamin C. The absolute champion would be a red capsicum though. So if you can include that.
Never expected that. A red capsicum.
Everyone thinks citrus.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, but that's a great one if you don't want to take supplements. But supplements are great on top. Once you've already got your diet to a place where you're feeling confident, you're feeling comfortable, you've got most of your bases covered, figuring out where you can include that. And it doesn't really matter if you're taking it during the morning or during the day, at night. It can help either way. There's some different compounds. You can take zinc separately or with a vitamin C together because they both help with that immune system.
What would be a perfect diet for an athlete?
For an athlete, it depends on whether you're training or practicing, whether you have a run that specific day. Your diet can change from day to day. But in general, you want to be eating carbs before you train, protein throughout the day, spread out, making sure you're hitting enough. It depends on whether you're trying to build muscle or whether you're just fueling.
And when you say protein, could you give example? What are the sources of protein?
Of course, yes. So protein, the most bioavailable protein comes from animal sources. So this is things like your poultry, meat, red meat, also in dairy. There's some good quality whey protein and plant-based sources such as beans, legumes, there's some in quinoa, of course. There is protein, but it doesn't cover all of the essential amino acids and it's a bit more difficult to absorb. So if you have the same amount, your body is going to get less out of the plant sources than the animal sources. It's important to have the animal sources of protein, your meat and your eggs and your dairy, but don't forget about the plants because they have a lot of bioavailable compounds that help with your immunity, that help with rejuvenating your cells, and fiber, of course, is very important too.
What is the best food for beautiful and glowing skin?
Beautiful and glowing skin, I think it does start with your gut. So nourishing your gut with fiber once again. If you have a healthy gut, it's going to reduce inflammation in your skin and allow all the beneficial compounds to do their job if they can be absorbed properly in your gut.
And what is the best source of fiber?
So this is where plants come in. It's really important to have a wide variety of plants in your diet. Everything from grains, so you want the whole grain that hasn't been refined, hasn't had the, for example, wheat, the bran taken off. The harder and the more layers it has, the better. And then we go to vegetables. Of course, in some vegetables, you can see the fiber. So like a celery, you can peel off, you can see that it's got a little fibrous
like stringy,
in it. Apples as well. The skin has a lot of fiber. You can tell that it's that hard plant, but there's also soluble fiber. And this is often talked about in chia seeds and things that dissolve to form a gel-like texture. It's important to have a balance of all different types of fibers from a variety of plants. So anything that seeds, grains, fruits, vegetables, and the like.
Some people follow different diets, and let's talk about keto diet. What are the things to watch out for?
Okay, so the keto diet can show some success in weight loss and chronic diseases such as diabetes that are tied around carbohydrate metabolism. And this is mostly because proteins and fats that you're having on keto, they're very filling. Once you've had a meal, you're sustained for longer than, say, if you'd had something with refined carbs, for example. That leads you to eating less and losing weight. But at the same time, I don't support many restrictive diets such as the keto because it does restrict, by definition, you can't have a balanced diet if you're eliminating whole food groups like carbs. Then you're missing out on the nutrients that are contained in these food groups such as carbs, like we had the fiber and the bioactive compounds like polyphenols, antioxidants that you're getting less of or sometimes hardly any on diets like the keto.
Veronika, what can you tell me about yourself that no one else knows?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm pretty much an open book. I think one thing that people don't expect when they've seen me online and then we meet in person, for example, is how tall I am. Being a volleyball player for my uni and before that as well.
I think you're so beautiful and you've got a modeling experience. You used to be a model.
Not professionally, but amateurly with my father being a fashion designer. It was something I could dabble in. Yeah, it was quite fun.
Veronika, I have a question that probably the most of world population would like to find out. Why does the chocolate taste so good?
I understand your question and I agree. It's probably one of the most popular questions is why do I want to eat chocolate all the time?
With hazelnuts.
So the answer is quite simple. It's because we're humans with instincts, and as we were evolving, foods that were rich in fats and that were sweet, it meant they had a lot of energy. So when we'd go hunting or gathering, or mostly gathering, we'd look for foods that have these tastes because it meant that they would fuel us. So now, food corporations that create all these products to try and get us to buy them put fat, sugar, salt that we're evolved to love. They pack as much as they can into their products to make them moreish.
And sugar and salt, that combination.
That's the combination that our bodies have developed over years and years and years and years to love because it's got energy. It's got lots of energy that we can use, go out for hunting, for, you know, making a fire. Well, except everyone's sitting at their desks these days.
On their phones, scrolling. So what would you recommend? So if I feel in the afternoon like a surge of sugar, what can I have instead?
Well, you can definitely still have chocolate. I recommend as dark as you can go. Try and look for cacao to be one of the first ingredients, like a 70, 80, even 90% if you can handle it. This gives us the double benefits of satisfying that craving that you have, but also it's got good magnesium, which if you wanted to have it before bed, as you said, it'll help you with sleep, help you relax. And as well, cacao is a really good prebiotic, which means that it can be fermented by the gut bacteria and feed the good bugs, so you get the benefits of better immunity, better skin, and everything else, all the other processes that our microbiome helps us with.
Veronika, thank you so much for taking up the time and flying from Sydney to Melbourne just for this interview. We really appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.